to the value associated with that particular address. So it will take, so one of the right of the assignment refers to the value of the variable, that is nothing but the actual value of that variable, whereas left hand side of the assignment refers to the location, that is it refers the address of that particular variable. So that is L value and R value. After that, we talked about the basic or the primitive data types supported in any of the programming languages. So whenever we are talking about the basic data types or the attribute, basic data types or the primitive, or sometimes it is called as built-in data types. So whenever we are talking about the data types, we have seen the elements of specification of that particular data type is in the form of attributes, then the values, and what operations are possible on that particular data type. Then after that, we talked about the implementation aspect of that data type also. While doing that, we have talked about the storage representation, that is how the layout or how the memory is allocated for that particular data type, and what type of operations we can define on that particular data type. So for that, we discussed in detail about integer, then real. In some programming languages, it is also referred as floating point. So floating point or real number, then Boolean. After that, we talked about the character. After these primitive data types, we started with the data aggregates or the constructed, or it is sometimes called as a structured data objects. So the examples of the data aggregates and the data constructs are array, subrange, and enumeration. In that, I have explained in detail about the enumeration. Enumeration is nothing but the ordered list, which is nothing but a set of atoms separated by comma. And for this particular list, the values of the enumerated sequence is represented by one of the integer value from 0 to any digit you can use to represent that value. But by default, if you're not specifying any value at that time, by default it will start from 0 and it will be in the incrementation order, that is 0 1 2 3 like that. So if you want to override this particular feature with the or in order to set a new value to your variable, at that time enum stud abc is equal to 25, xyz is equal to 30, then I have not given for remaining two variables any value. So at that time, ABC it will take 25, XYZ it will take 30, but for AAA it will take not 35, it will take 31. So whatever be the previous value you have assigned to that particular atom, it will increment with 1. So for AAA it will 31 and for BBB it will be 32. Okay, and what operations I can perform on the enumeration, that is ordinal, which will maps the x value which is given with the order x, and it will returns the integer position in the enumeration. So for example, in case of if I'm declaring the enum base at that time, is my camera is visible? So if I have declared enum base, so over here Monday, Tuesday, and so on till Sunday. So at that time, but obvious, Monday will be given the integer value as 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 2, Thursday 3, and so on, right? So over here, but obvious when I'm saying order of ordinal of, suppose I am specifying Wednesday. So my x is nothing but the value which I want to check in the enum. So with ordinal of x, so this Wednesday will be mapped in your enumeration list and it will return the index of this. So what will be the value of this particular example? It will return for Monday 0, Tuesday 1, and for Wednesday what is the value? 2. So it will return the value 2. So with the ordinal, it will map that particular x value in your enumeration and it will return its index value as an output. So with a successor, it will map the value of your x to the next value. So if I'm saying successor of Wednesday, but obvious, what will be the value? Successor of Wednesday. So what value this function will return? In this particular enumeration example, it will written after Wednesday. Successor means it will go for the next mapping and it will written Thursday. If I'm saying previous predecessor, at that time it will written Tuesday. So it will move, it will map that particular X and it will check the predecessor of that particular X and it will return that particular value. So that is ordinal, successor and predecessor operations which will be possible on the enumeration. Now after that, next we are talking in detail about the arrays. Okay, so basically arrays is nothing but a sequence of elements. Now, so whenever all of you are familiar with array in C programming, have you used arrays in C?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So then it will be a little bit easy to understand. So arrays is nothing but a sequence of elements. So can you tell me whether array is of homogeneous type or heterogeneous type?
Homogeneous.
Homogeneous. It means the sequence of elements or the atoms which are included as an array, it will be of same type. So with the array, it is efficient and access storage allocation. It is all the numbers or the atoms in the array are indexed by the indexed by the integer, just like we have seen in the enumerations. So array layout. So basically, whenever we are talking about the array layout, the elements appear in a consecutive location in the underlying machine. So I will explain you the meaning of this. Element appears in a consecutive location in underlying memory. Meaning is what? Basically, if I'm saying array, now we will see in the syntax of C programming. So when I'm saying int A of 10, okay. So in C programming, how many bytes are reserved for int? Can you tell me? How much memory, when I'm saying int, how much memory will be allocated for integer? Yes. When I'm saying int, it will be 2 bytes, right? So basically, when I'm saying int A of 10 is total, how much memory will be allocated? 10 into 2. So total 20 bytes will be allocated in a memory. So if my memory address is starting with 4000, so but obvious for first element it will be 2 bytes. So next element will be starting from 400. So on, it will be allocate the consecutive memory location in the for the array. So when I'm saying int A of 10, it means I'm indicating my array is of size 10 and its data type is integer. So 10 into 2. Now, all of you are familiar with Java programming also? Yes or no?
Yes.
So in Java, if I'm saying int A of 10, then how much memory will be allocated? In Java, for int, how much memory is reserved for integer data type? Yes. How much? 2 or 4?
4.
4. So, but obvious. So, totally it will be depend. So, for each data type, depending on the language, the memory will be reserved. So, in this case, for Java programming, 10 into 4, so 40 bytes. Okay. So, I hope you have understood how the memory, when I'm saying, whenever I declared int A, how the memory will be allocated into for that particular type of array variable. Okay, so whenever I'm saying array, it is a and easily I will be able to access any element from that particular array. So elements appear in a consecutive location in underlying machine. Elements can be computed in 2 parts. So meaning is what? Now over here when I'm saying int A of 10, it will be computed at compile time. So that is called as the array elements can be computed in two parts, pre-computation and at runtime. Now, on coming slides, I will let you know what is pre-computation and runtime, that we will see in detail. There are two types of arrays. Arrays of arrays. It means all of you are familiar with two-dimensional array.
Yes.
Correct. So when I just now the array which I have declared on the board, it is of which type? It is single dimensional or a double dimensional? Yes. When I'm saying array A of 10, it is 1D or 2D?
1D.
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 Very good. So when I'm saying arrays of arrays, it is nothing but your two-dimensional array, and which can be row major layout or column major layout. So how the layout will be allocated in the memory? So it will be either row major or column major. Now, so we will see in detail what are the different attributes of the arrays. Now, when we are saying arrays, but obvious number of components, that is in case of arrays, when we are saying number of components means what is the size of the array. So we have to specify the size of array, then what is the type of that particular array, and then the subscript, that is the index of that particular array, that is the attributes of an array. Now, what operations I will be able to perform on arrays? I can create an array, I can destroy an array, I can perform the assignment to the components of an array, I can perform. So now when I'm doing the integer values, when I'm updating the values of an array, at that time I'm using assignment operator. At the same time, arithmetic on pair of arrays of the same size. Meaning is what? If my arrays are of both size, at that time I can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication of two arrays. So you can just map, or whether you have done the matrix operations on the matrices before this in any of the programming language.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So addition, subtraction, multiplication. So all the arithmetic operations can be possible on the arrays. And subscripting, meaning is what? At any, I can access the elements randomly from the array. So A of I, so that I will be nothing but a random element. So that is subscripting. So I can perform the subscripting also on the arrays. So these are the operations which I can perform on array. Now, so we will see in detail the implementation aspect, or the how my array, whenever I'm declaring an array in a memory, how the implementation and the layout will be done. So as we have seen, array is nothing but a sequence, or whenever we are using an array, it is a homogeneous data types, and the memory will be allocated sequentially. It means in implementation purpose means how we can store that particular component in a memory. So the components are stored sequentially. So in a memory, but obvious when we are saying a array, it's a descriptor. So what is the name of array? What is lower bound? What is upper bound? What is the data type? Then size of components. So all that details will be stored initially, which will be referred as a descriptor of that particular array. So now, for example, in the current example, which I have just now written on the board, int A of 10. So in that case, it is an array whose lower bound is. So now over here, we said 10, right? So total elements in an array, we have specified the size as 10, and we know that the index is starting from 0. So that's why lower bound, that is what is the lower index of that particular array. So lower bound will be 0. Now, in this case, what will be the upper bound? When there are 10 elements, lower bound is 0. Then in that case, upper bound will be what?
9.
9. Correct. See, over here we are saying array of 10, but the index is starting from 0. So that's why upper bound is 10 minus 1, that is 9. Then what is the data type? That is integer. And in C programming, the size of that each component. So for integer, 2 bytes will be allocated. So all this information is there in the descriptor, and after that descriptor, the actual storage representation, that is array of 0, array of 1 till 9, that actual elements will be stored in the memory. So this is the implementation aspect of an array. So the layout of an array determines the machine address of an element AI relative to the address of the first element. So the layout can occur separately from allocation, which reserves the actual machine address for the array elements. So now, as I mentioned, 4000 is the address. So when we are saying that, see, the layout of an array determines machine address of an element AI relative to the address of the first element. So in this case, when I'm saying the first element is having the address 4000, okay. So in that case, this is my array A of 0. A of 1. So now if I'm saying what is the address of A of 6, will you be able to calculate the address of 6th element? What will be the value? Each element is having 2 bytes, whereas the address is starting from 4000. So what will be the value of 6th element in this case? Yes, it will be 4012, right? So, but obvious, we will be able to access that particular element from the actual machine addresses for that particular array. So how the relative addresses will be calculated in this case? See, this is a small example of 10 elements, but if you are having the suppose 1000 elements in your array at that time, is it possible to calculate for each and everything and then go ahead? No. So in this case, we are having only 10 elements for that purpose. I have written for each and every element. I have calculated the address. But when you are having suppose 100 or 1000 elements, and if I want to calculate the address of a 51st element, okay, 51st element at that time, how I can do that? So for that, we can use a formula, that is A of low plus 1 minus base plus W. So over here, W is nothing but the width of each array element. That is, each element of type T occupies W location. W is nothing but a width. So in this case, for int, it is having 2 bytes as a width. ALO is nothing but a location base, that is the starting address. So over here, for this particular example, it will be 4000. So base plus W, it is nothing but. So when I'm going for the next element, it will be what? A of low plus 1. Now over here, this, when I'm saying this is A of 1. A of 1 is what? It is nothing but A of low will be nothing but the starting address. So A of low, that is 4000 plus 1, that is my A of 4000, and this is my A of 1. 4001. So A of I, that is my first element, A of 1, low plus 1. So, but obvious, my base address plus W, right? So see, over here, when I'm saying A of 0, my low will be always starting with 0 because lower bound.
Ma'am,
Yes?
are you using the board? I think your camera is not on.
Yeah, I'm using the board. Is it visible? I think the connection is.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I get up, automatically it is due to lose connection. It is automatically. Okay. So my lower bound is always starting with 0. So when I'm saying A of 0, it is nothing but my A of or the base address. So base address will be what? It is nothing but 4000 in this particular example, right? So when I'm saying A of 1, so it will be what? It is nothing but base plus W. So what is the base value in this particular example? 4000, and this is integer. So what is the width? Just now I have explained. For width, it is nothing but the total number of bytes allocated for each component in an array. So for each component there is 2. So but obvious, my A of 1 will start with 4002. So how I can calculate? So low plus 1, that is A of 1. Now when I'm saying A of 2, so that is nothing but what? A of low plus 2. Lower bound is always starting with 0. So A of 0 plus 2, that is nothing but A2, and then but obvious 4000 plus 2 into W. W is what? The memory for this int data type. So 2 into 2, that is 4. So address will be 400. I hope it is clear now. Understood? Have you understood or not? Base address is 4000, so that's why A of low, which indicate the location of your base address. Now when I'm saying A of 1, that is low plus 1, that is lower bound is 0, 0 plus 1 is A of 1. So, but obvious 4000, that is low plus W, because I'm going with first element. So that's why width or W is nothing but the width for each component, or whatever be the data type is assigned for each component that particular byte. So in this case for int there is 2, so 4000 plus 2. Now when I'm going for low plus 2 at that time, the formula will be base plus 2 into W. So same way when I'm going for that particular index, it will be that index into width plus base address. In this way you can calculate a relative address of that particular element in the memory. I hope you have understood. Understood or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. In this way, we will calculate the relative address of a particular element in an array. So the address of an array element can be computed in two parts. Now see, whenever I am declaring an array, it will be at compile time. So part 1 is nothing but a part that can be computed as soon as the array is declared. So whenever I'm declaring an array, immediately the memory will be allocated. That is nothing but pre-computation. So if you remember, I said for array, it will be pre-computation and at runtime. So that is compile time and dynamic allocation, dynamic time, or it is also called as runtime. So whenever we are declaring an array, immediately the memory will be allocated to that particular array. That is my part 1, which is nothing but at compile time, or it is the pre-computation type of my array. And part 2 is nothing but a part that has to be computed at runtime, because it depends on the value of an array subscript. So the address of A of I, it depends on the value of I. So just now as I explained, which ith element you are going to calculate, based on that ith element, the relative address will be calculated and that value will be accessed. So that will be done at a runtime. So pre-computation and at runtime it will be done. So how the formula will be work for calculation of the array address? So just now as we have discussed, ith element, that is second element, when I'm saying second, that it is nothing but ith, into W, that is nothing but the width of that particular component, which is based on the data type, plus base minus low into W. So see, let's check the formula carefully over here. Ith element, so that ith element will be considered at a runtime, whereas base address will be known at compile time only. So base minus low into W. So over here, I know the base value. Lower bound is always starting with a 0 and W. So W will be also known at compile time. Yes or no? W indicates what? Yes, girls, quickly. What? W indicates what in this particular case?
Number of bytes.
What?
Number of
Size of-
bytes.
Correct. Number of bytes for each component. So in integer, 2 bytes. So see over here, I into W will be computed at runtime, and base minus low plus low into W will be pre-computed. So base address will be known. Low value we are knowing that it always starts with a 0, and W is also known. So this particular base minus low into W will be pre-computed, whereas ith element that will be taken or it will be executed at runtime. So that's why I into W will be computed at runtime, whereas base minus W low into W, which will be a constant value, so it will be pre-computed. Because see, when we are saying int a of 10, so automatically we have seen the memory will be allocated for that particular type of an array. So we know the base address, lower bound also we know. Due to data type, we know the width of that particular component. So this can be pre-computed. Okay. And in C language, as I already mentioned from the starting, lower bound is always started with 0, which is nothing but the index of an array always start with 0. So the address of A of I can be computed as I into W plus C. So this C, which I'm considering as a constant value. So see, every time in a for loop, so if I am having the 10 elements and if I want to access each and every element from an array, how I will be able to access that 10 elements? What you will do in C programming? If I want to display the all elements of an array, so what you will do?
Write a for loop.
Correct. So in for loop, so it will not every time instead of every time base minus low into W, because we know all these values are fixed. So only once before entering into loop, it will calculate base minus low into W, and it will store it in some C variable, which is a constant value. And then every time I into W, that is ith element into width plus this constant value, it will add it, which will give me the ith element into the array. So this is the address computation in array data type. So now layout of an array. Okay. So now before I proceed, just whatever I have explained, I will just show you. So have you understood what I mean by the array declaration and how the implementation will be done? Now just I will show you while execute or how the data or memory will be allocated. Now just let me know whether my screen is visible or not. Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So see, I will declare an array which we have just now said int a of 10. Okay. And simple. Now, over here, I'm saying, and now immediately we will see what will happen over here. A of, I will directly say 0 is equal to 100. See, when I'm going to declaring this particular array and when I want to see the execution, visualize the execution. Are you able to see something?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I'm saying int a and I'm declaring as an array, so in a memory, in the implementation part, what it does, immediately when it is declared, it will create a variable a of type array and it have allocated a memory for this particular array. Is that clear? But the values are not stored anywhere up till now. So when this particular a of 0 will be assigned a value 10, at that time, see, when I execute this, see, even though this is already declared, but the value is not assigned to the 0th element. So always the value will be assigned at runtime. Are you able to see? Now a of 0 will be stored with a value 100. Understood? Now if I will show one more thing, a of 10, and if I have declared it as with some values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay. and see. We will just oh, semicolon is missing. Now, are you able to see something? Yes. See, I have declared int a of 10 and I have also given the values, but at compile time, it only allocate a memory for that array element. And if you are going to observe, if you remember, I said the memory will be allocated from the stack. So there is shown stack and heap memory. At runtime, whenever you are allocating a memory by using alloc function. At that time, it will use heap. But over here, whenever I'm declaring int a, it have allocated 10 bytes from the stack. And see, still I have given the values, but is the values are assigned to that particular index?
No.
No. So what we have learned, pre-computation, that is but obvious, the addresses or the memory locations will be allocated to the array at compile time, but the actual elements will be, the ith element will be stored at runtime. Okay, see, observe. Is that clear? Pre-computation and runtime.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please do it once more?
Yes or no? Is there any doubt?
How did it come on runtime?
How? Can you
How did it come at runtime?
see? That's what I have shown you. I will again edit this code. Okay. Now see, when I'm going to visualize what I said, whenever you are declaring an array based on its data type, the memory will be allocated. The memory will be reserved for that particular variable. So what I have done, int a of 10, and I have assigned some values. But whether these values will be assigned to that particular index, so that's what I tried to show you. Only array memory locations will be allocated, that is my pre-computation, whereas the actual elements will be stored at this particular location. So 10th will be allocated at 0th position, 20 will be at 1st position. Okay. So for that, see, when I have executed my code, at that time, my compiler is knowing that array of 10 size is there in my program, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So at compile time, only memory is allocated, even though I have given the values in my program, but the index, if you remember what we have seen, that a of I, a of 0, a of 1, all that will be assigned at a runtime. So when I clicked on the next, that is when I'm running my program, at that time, after execution of this particular line, the values will be C.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Correct. Now should I proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So meaning is what? The allocation will be done at compile time, but the actual value updation will be calculated at the runtimes. That is, a of ith element will be computed. So that's what we have seen. For each element, the formula which just now we have talked on this particular slide, that is I into W plus base minus W into W. So this calculation will be done at runtime in order to compute the relative address for that particular element, ith element. I hope now this is clear. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Should I proceed? So in this way, the address computation will be done at a runtime. So now after one dimensional array and after you have understood the concept of one dimensional array, now we will talk about the 2D array. So for 2D array, all of you knowing the matrices? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So when just now on the previous slide also we talked, there are two types of array, row major and column major. So when I'm saying the array of 3 rows, 2 columns. So at that time, in a memory, it will be allocated as M11, M12, that is row major. So elements will be stored in the row format. So over here, if you are going to see my row, that is the first M of ij, you are saying it means my I element will be constant. M of ij. So over here, the j, when I'm going row wise, at that time j is changing fastly, that is column 1, column 2, but the row variable is constant. So how I can calculate the address of a of I1, I2? So over here, as shown in the figure, in a memory, it will be allocated. My M1, that is the first row, will be allocated all the column elements, that is M11, M12. Now when I'm saying second row, at that time, it will be M21, M22. So all the elements of row 2 will be stored. Meaning is what? When I'm saying row major, row wise data will be stored in the memory. And the formula for that, I1 into W1 plus I2 into W2 plus base minus low 1 into W1 minus low 2 into W2. So over here, my W1 and W2 indicate I and J. So, but obvious over here, base will be remain same. Lower value of my column will be starting with 0. Same way for column, row will be start with 0. Column is also starting with 0. So my 0, 0 element will be nothing but M11 over here. So this is your row major layout. So how the array bounds will be calculated, that is computed at a compile time, which is called as static evaluation, and computed at a run time, that is dynamic evaluation. So array values and the initialization. So a sequence of values for an array elements. So array values. So just now, if you have able to recollect, just now I have shown you array declaration and how I have assigned the values to the array. So array values and its initialization, which is nothing but a sequence of values for the array elements. An array is called static if both the layouts and the allocations are done statically. See, the meaning is what? Normally when you are declaring an array, so it will does the allocation of the memory at a static time, that is it is computed at a compile time, but the values will be allocated at runtime, that is at dynamic evaluation. So the index will be dynamically evaluated. But whereas the second statement, an array is called static if both layout and allocation, that is the memory will be allocated at the same time, the values will be allocated if we have declared that array is static only. So an array is called static if both layout and allocations are done statically. So there is one example of the algol. So see, just now whatever I have explained you, I will just let you know. I have to stop this screen and share again. Now, is the implementation screen is visible to you? Is it visible? So now what I will do, I have, in order to just show you what we have mean by when I'm declaring static integer array B, okay, with size suppose 5. Simple. And now when I'm going to visualize, just observe what is happening. Are you able to see something? Now what's the difference? Now tell me. Can anybody just let me know? See, I have declared first array integer A array of size 10, and I have declared a second array B as a static of size 5. So what is the difference you have observed at compile time?
In first array, the memory is allocated, but the elements are not assigned.
Correct.
And in the second array, the a 0 is assigned as it is empty. We have not.
So I hope you have understood. When we are declaring an array as static one, at that time, the layout as well as the values are also done at compile time. Am I right, Rucha?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So this is what we mean by static evaluation and dynamic evaluation. This is one more example in the Algol 60. Just now we have talked about the C programming. This is the way how array is declared in Algol 60, where variable A colon then array as a reserved keyword and then of integer type. So over here, bound of an array A depends on the value of C. So this is the way of writing or declaration of array in Algol 60 program. So you can choose, so it will be totally depend, the syntax will be totally depend on the particular programming languages. So now over here, when I'm saying if C is less than 0, then 2, else 1. So that is what based on value of C. So if I know the value of C at compile time, then the bounds can be computed at compile time. But the value of C is not known at that time. It will calculate the values at runtime. Okay, so this is the Algol 60 programming concept. Now, next is array bounds and the storage allocation. So this is one more example. Now, see, over here, just now as I have explained you in C programming, how the array will be allocated. So the storage allocation for the values and the variables in procedure or functions. So before I explain anything, just let me know whether you have written a user-defined function in C program. Have you tried? Have you used procedures, functions in C programming? Yes or no? Girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now see, I will just let you know if I am writing any function and I'm calling that function from the main program, and if I have written int C of 10 semicolon. Okay. And I have just written print d comma C of 0. Okay. And what I have done, I have assigned a value as suppose 10. All the elements. Now, so first I will explain you what we mean by the, just I have to stop and I have to present the screen, and again we will switch back to this particular code. Okay. Every time I have to stop and I have to share. See, so over here, whenever we are going to call any particular function in any programming, so whenever we are having arrays in the procedures or in a function, so storage allocation for the values and the variables in a procedure or a function is done when the function is called. That is, when the control reaches or enters the procedure, then only that particular array will be allocated and the values will be stored. So meaning of this statement is what? Is it visible? See, what I have done, I have written an add function, and in add function there is one array. Okay. So now whenever I'm going to execute this particular code, now what is the error? Semicolon is not written. This is C programming. Now see, at compile time in my main program, I have two arrays. So only these two arrays are allocated, and depending on the type, the values are also initialized. But I have given a call to add procedure. So whenever this add function will be called, see, immediately when it reaches to that particular procedure, then only that particular array is going to be allocated. So the storage allocation for the values and the variables in the procedure or a function is done when the function is called. It means when the control reaches or enters into that procedure, after that, that array will be allocated to that particular variable. Understood? So meaning of this statement is just now, as I have shown with an example, that is when I am calling a add function, then only it had declared or it will allocated a C array, as C array is declared in add function or add procedure. So storage will be allocated for the values and the variables when the control reaches or enters into the procedure. Now separating layout from the allocation. So array layout in C is done statically at compile time. Storage allocation is done upon the procedure entry, as just now we have seen, and it is done statically. However, if the keyword static appears before a variable declaration. So as I have already explained you, when we are declaring an array as a static, when the keyword static is there, at that time it will be done at statically or at compile time, both layout as well as the allocation will be done for the static array. Now separating a layout from allocation. So the keyword static identifies buffer as a static array. So its storage is allocated at compile time and its element retain their values across the calls of procedure. So just now the static keyword which you have used in C programming, so the values are remain same throughout the calls of or throughout the procedure. So storage of an array temp is allocated afresh each time control enters a procedure produce. The elements of an array temp lose their values between the procedure calls because they can have different locations in different calls. So Pascal does not allow the static arrays. So see, as we know that in C programming, I can declare a array static by using static keyword, but in Pascal, the static arrays are not allowed. So it means Pascal programming doesn't support the static arrays. Now static and dynamic array bounds. So as we have already seen how the evaluation will be done. So suppose that when an array bounds are computed, layout and allocations are done at the same time. The following are some options for computing array bounds. So how we can calculate an array bound? That is, array bounds are computed at compile time. In Pascal, array bounds, that is lower bound and the upper bound in Pascal, it will be referred as x minimum, x maximum. The evolution upon the procedure entry. So depending on the procedure, just now we have seen, it will allocate a memory when that procedure will be called. So in example of algol 60, we have seen based on the value of C variable, it is computed. Okay. So whenever that particular control flow is executed based on that or based on that particular procedure, it will call or it will compute. And dynamic evolution is nothing but in C++, an expression of form new char of size. It means I have declared one variable of size is equal to 10, or you are accepting that value of size from the user and then you allocating at that time, it will be evaluated at any time and it user current value of size at runtime to allocate any array. So if I have entered the size value as 10, after that size minus 1. So lower bound will be 0, upper bound will be 9 in this particular case. So this is nothing but the how the evaluation of the array bounds will be done in the different programming languages. So array initialization in C programming. So already I have shown you while showing the example with a code. So int, coin and whatever be. So see over here, the size is not known. Okay. So now if I have, so in this case, what will be the size? Yes. Girls, what will be the size of an array? Quickly. Chalo.
6.
6. So, but obvious, over here, at compile time, you are not knowing the values, but with that number of elements, it will allocate that particular sign. So the following declaration specifies the coin is an array whose elements are initialized with the values on the right hand side. So it will count that many elements, and accordingly it will assign that array bound to the that particular coin array. Now, next is after array. Now, before I proceed, girls, just let me know whether you are familiar with slicing in Python. Slicing.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, same way in what we can say, the subrange. There is a concept of subrange which is similar to the what we can say slicing concept in Python. So, before going to that, whenever we are talking about the data structures or ADTs, so data structure is a data object that contains other data objects as its elements. So see, before I proceed, just now as I mentioned, just keep a note because I haven't included on the slide, subrange, which is nothing but similar to your slicing in Python. So for example, is my board is visible to you? See, in Python, you have declared a list L is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. With the square brackets, you are declaring list. Am I right? Yes or no? So,
Yes.
if I want to retrieve the elements from 3 to 6, how I can do it? I am going to specify L, that is print into bracket. If we are specifying from 3, I want to do it till 6. Am I right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total 7 elements are there, and from second element to 6, that is from 2 to 5, when I want to print, I can specify a subrange. So subrange is similar to your slicing in Python. So over here, from which element, that is the starting element, and up to which element I want to print, that is my end element. So in this case, it will be 5, 2 to 5. So this is the starting point from where you want to print, and this is going to indicate the end point, that is low and high. So it will indicate a subscript index from where you want to print the values. Am I right? Now if I'm saying
Ma'am.
no parameter, colon, and suppose 5. In that case, what will happen? Yes, somebody said something. Yes? So when I'm not specifying the first parameter and I have indicated colon 5, what it's indicate? You have done in Python. So when you are not specifying the first element, lower bound, if you are not going to specify, it always start with 0. If you are not specifying the higher bound, at that time it will take the last element of your array. So 0 to, if I don't know what is the total element in the list, so I can start with a 0, colon, and high or the end upper bound is not mentioned, will be kept as blank. So automatically it will print from, suppose if I have written as 2 to the end. So from second position it will start and it will print all the elements of your list. So this is nothing but your slicing or the subrange.
Actually, in Python, if we write 2 colon 5, then the element at 5th position doesn't get printed, right?
Yeah, fifth position, that is n minus 1. But in this case, I am saying from 2, 3, 4. So in Python, it will be, if you are specifying 5, it will be n minus 1, it will be taken. So depending on, so if I want to include this element, so you have to choose, see, high is what, up to what point I have to print. So depending on the programming languages, you have to consider, you have to calculate this high subscript, low and high. So in Python, if I am specifying 5, it will be print till 4. That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So see, n, up to what point you want to print, based on that you have to take it. So if I want to print it up to 5th index, then I have to specify over here 6. That is correct. Okay, now so after arrays where all the elements of same data type, now next is ADT or user defined data types. So I think just I will give you an idea and we will stop. On Saturday we are having a lecture, so in that lecture I will talk about the structures, union and sets. Okay, so my ADT is nothing but, or user defined type are nothing but the data object that contains other data objects as its elements. A data object that is termed as aggregated. So if you remember in first lecture of unit 2, we said that there are 2 types of data types. User, that is basic data types, and aggregated or structured data types. So in structured we said that's array, enum and all that. Whereas there is also structures or records which are going to have the multiple data objects of different data types. So 3 important aspects as we have seen: specification, operation and storage representation, how it will be done. So shall we stop over here? We will see in detail in the next lecture. So just try to revise the concept of a classes. I hope you have done class concept. 9 is
Yes,
absent today. I will just mark the attendance. So before coming to the next lecture, just go through, just revise the concept of the classes. Okay. Only roll number 9 is absent, rest are present. Somebody.
Excuse me, ma'am.